All right, we're now live. Hi, Elliot Fishman. Welcome to August. It's getting hot like it's July, but hey, what can I say? Got a haircut, got my ears pulled back, whatever you want to call it. And it's great to be here. And this is Lung Cancer Screening Day, Lung Cancer Screening Month, and so Lily suggested we speak about lung cancer screening. Now, in general, CT and radiology has been involved with screening for a number of things. Way back when, we did barometers for screening for colon cancer, and now we do virtual colonoscopy, which has been approved, and they're no longer allowing barometers as if anyone knew how to do them anyway. There's also, we do mammography, right? So the whole breast imaging, so much of that is really in the screening mode, picking up early cancers and ruling out any problems going on there. Lung cancer screening, way back when, I remember when I started radiology, people were looking at chest x-rays as a way of screening. Of course, we know the sensitivity of chest x-rays wasn't very good, so screening wasn't very successful. You did pick up smokers with cancer, but it was often, they had higher stage disease. You were not picking up smaller lesions. When CT came along, there was a lot of work. Claudia Henschke from Cornell speaking about doing CT for lung cancer screening, Dave Nadich, NYU, and they persisted and convinced a lot of people who were doubters, who thought that screening would be too expensive, it really wouldn't work in a big population, that screening for lung cancer would be good. Arguments over how long you had to smoke. Obviously, the thing about lung cancer, very tied to smoking. So you use smoking as a way of predicting who would develop lung cancer. Yes, we know people who develop lung cancer who've never smoked, but screening is not in that population. It's in the population of patients who have smoked. The question then came, what age should you start screening? How long should you screen for? How should you do the studies? How should you interpret the studies? We were involved with the lung cancer screening. 20 sites were involved. We were, I think, the third biggest recruiter. But those articles did show that you had to follow 360 nodules or so to pick up one cancer. But when you look at all the numbers and you look at all the follow-up years later, lung cancer screening is something we do. Screening we also do, almost matches it, is with coronary artery disease. Calcium scoring is a screening study. It's shown that that is a better predictor than cholesterol and all of these other things that we can do. And of course, a screening study needs to be easy. So with calcium scoring, you just get on the table. There's no injection of contrast. Lung cancer screening, the same thing. One of the things we've also done over time, because these patients will be scanned every year for maybe 20 years or so, you have low dose studies. So it's been shown that the low dose and the standard dose of just equal, basically in picking up smaller nodules and in following progression, see if they grow or stay the same, which is how we typically manage things. I mentioned that one of the questions, of course, is when do you screen, who do you screen, and how do you do all that? So the CDC, basically, and I'll read it to you, and here's some of their key points. The only recommended screening test for lung cancer is low-dose CT. Lung cancer screening is recommended only for adults who are at high risk for developing the disease because of smoking history and age. So then you ask, who should we screen? The U.S. Preventive Service Task Force recommends you need to have a 20-pack year or more smoking history. 1 pack of cigarettes a day for a year is 1 pack year. So 20 or more, and that's come down from what used to be much higher. You now still need to be smoking or have not quit in the past 15 years. It's felt that if you quit more than 15 years ago, you don't need to be screened because you don't have any higher risk. And you need to be between age 50 and 80. People have argued 45, 40, 50 tends to be the number, 50 and 80. Again, you could say, is there a risk for screening? Well, yes, there is. You have false positive results, so you're following a lot of patients who have granulomas. I mentioned you need 360 or so patients with a nodule to find a cancer, because most of granulomas, particularly depending on what part of the country you live in, granulomas are very common. So you have false positive studies. It's expensive. It's a lot of stress. Some patients go to surgery. So nothing is ever a free ride. You also could say that you find a lung cancer that maybe never would have caused the problem. Of course, you're looking for it, you found it, you remove it, the patient could have complications from surgery. All of those things are true. So you worry about overdiagnosis. And again, radiation theoretically can cause cancer, though with low dose, it's typically not a problem. Again, when you're talking about lung screening, we're not talking about you and me just walking off the street getting a screening study. You needed to have smoked. And as we say, other people get lung cancer, but it's really for the patients who have smoked. Then the question is, when do you stop screening? Well, one could argue if a patient's not a surgical candidate, perhaps, but the typical rules are if a patient turns 81, they've stopped smoking for 15 or more years, or if they have a health issue which is really going to make them unable to be treated if they even had a lung cancer. So that indeed becomes very, very important. Now, there's a lot of work done on speaking to patients. The most important thing you could tell someone when they get a lung cancer screening is not that the study is negative, that's important, but to stop smoking. So the only way to really prevent lung cancer is to stop smoking. No, getting a CT scan that's negative and then go smoking tomorrow is not a good strategy. So we need to really focus on changing patients' behavior. And when you read articles now, a lot of patients who were smokers are no longer smokers, so that's really good. And once you get past 15 years, you can stop screening those patients. So that becomes a very good rule. For the radiologist, we scan the entire chest, non-contrast, single breath hold. But again, low dose studies are important. Make sure you have the lowest dose possible based on your scanner. So there is a Dutch study called the Nelson trial, which analyzed the impact of low dose CT in more than 15,000 patients in a 10-year period. Researchers reported that lung cancer deaths dropped about 33% in women and 24% in men when compared with those who did not receive screenings. An American Cancer Society says widespread use of low-dose screening could save up to 60,000 lives in the United States. So that is really, really impressive numbers. And I think, the internists, referring physicians, need to really push patients who have spoken to get studies. Now, the biggest challenge is with people who have spoken is they kind of feel guilty, and so they often don't go for the studies, but I think it really needs to be done. In terms of low dose, a low dose CT is about 1/5 the radiation or less of a regular scan. Typically, a low dose scan provides about 1.2 to 1.4 millisieverts of radiation, while a standard CT is probably closer to 6 or 7. Again, background radiation is 3 to 5 millisieverts a year, so well beneath those numbers. And of course, if you live in areas like Denver, you're going to have a lot more problems. So is there any downside to low-dose screening? I mentioned overdiagnosis, overtreatment, stressing patients out are all things that are just really realistic. But again, when you look at the risk reward, screening really takes a major step forward. What else can be done? There's a lot of work being done, Grail, Exact Sciences, other companies that are developing liquid biopsies. Perhaps there's going to be a blood test as part of these multiple cancer MCEDs, these studies, and perhaps you won't need a CT, you'll just get a blood test, will show if you have something potential, and then you'll get a scan. But in the short term, and probably for a long time, low dose CT is the way to go. It's an easy study to do. You should offer it in your practice. If you want to be really good, go to the ACR site, and you can get ACR certification for your site. And I think that works out very nicely. I think the patients appreciate it. Some places do lung cancer screening and calcium scoring at the same time. So there's many ways of doing it, but it's beneficial to our patients, and again, puts radiology in a good position to be involved with screening. So with that, I'll stop there. Have any questions, get back to us, and I wish everybody a great day. Now let me see if anyone had any comments from the audience. I don't see any comments. But hey, oh wait, here's one. Do multiple low-dose scans over years increase the risk of malignancy? I think the answer is theoretically yes, but the risk is so infinitesimal. It's a substantially higher risk not getting a study. So I think it's theoretically possible, but it's really not going to be an issue. So I do not worry about that. Okay? Anyway, I hope everybody has a great day, and if you want more information, the ACR has a lot of information on their website, or go to the CDC on their website. Those are all really good places. And with that, have a great day.